friends. We are going to begin in just a few moments. We would encourage and invite everyone to please find their seats. And just as a friendly reminder, if you have a cell phone or a pager, please take a moment to turn it off or place it in the silent mode. Thank you.
Dear friends, a deep breath. For the last 91 years, Barbara Schrayer taught us all how to live with elegance, with dignity, with style, and with a whole lot of love. In the last several weeks, Barbara Schrayer taught us all how to die with that same elegance, that same dignity, that same style, and with a whole lot of love. Barbara was ready. She called her family and her friends to say goodbye. She was incredibly tired. She did not want to go back to the hospital. She had simply had enough. She gathered her family close. And in true Barbara fashion, she knew exactly what she wanted. She wanted her service to be in this sanctuary. Anyone who wants to speak can speak, she said, but not everyone has to. She wanted this sanctuary, where Bob became a bar mitzvah at age 75, right here in this space, where one of the Torah covers has his name proudly displayed on it. At the temple, at the sanctuary where the Schrayers started religious education at North Shore Congregation Israel, right here in this building. But she really wanted it here because she always loved the mosaic that's on the back wall in the Malkin family lobby. You see, that mosaic was at Beth Am congregation on the south side, and then it became a Chicago public school. And a long time ago, I said to the principal of the public school that if you ever want to get rid of that, we want to save it in the Jewish community. That's our history. And a maintenance man kept the pieces that would fall off of that mosaic in a coffee can because he knew that it was special. And lo and behold, in 2008, when Am Shalom was under renovation, we got a call out of the blue saying, you have a week to get that mosaic. And I called Bob and Barbara, and they said, we'll sponsor it. We'll bring it. Bring it to Am Shalom. We'll restore it. And she loved that mosaic from Beth Am. She knew exactly what she wanted. She wanted to make sure that each one of her grandchildren got a beautiful mezuzah for their home from an artist, Emil Schenfeld, that Barbara and Bob knew in Israel and loved. She wanted to make sure, absolutely make sure, that she paid for them as well. She said that her one job on earth was to raise her 3 kids. And that with a big smile on her face, she said, I think I did it well. And then she asked me several times in true Barbara fashion, she said, well, do you have enough information on me? Do you know what you're going to say? I said, yes, I promise I do. And then she said, I want music. And while I didn't get her final request for songs, I knew that she wanted the same music that we gathered when we gathered for Bob's funeral. So Adam Cahan, it's an honor to have you with us. We gathered at North Shore Congregation Israel to say goodbye to Bob, and we sang Shalom Rav, and we'll do the same thing again today. And then the last thing I said to her at that conversation, I said, Barbara, you are a blessing. You are truly a blessing. She was a blessing then in her living room, and she's a blessing now for every single person gathered here at this sanctuary on the live stream. Every person who was touched by her goodness, by her kindness, by her love. Debbie Friedman said it best, and you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing.
And you shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing.
Lechila to a land that I will show you. Lech lecha to a place you do not know. Lechila, on your journey I will bless you. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing. You shall be a blessing.
And I shall make your name great. Lech lecha, and all shall praise your name. Lechilach, to the place that I will show you. Lesimchat chayim, lesimchat chayim, lesimchat chayim, lechilah. And you shall be a blessing.
You shall be a blessing.
And you shall be a blessing.
Death has taken our beloved Barbara Schrayer. Our friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, be with them. for Barbara's love that united us in life, which death cannot sever, for her companionship that we shared along life's path, which now continues through the tenderness of memory, for the gifts of her heart and mind that brought us joy and happiness and is now a precious, precious remembrance. For all these and more, we give our thanks to God. We extend our deepest condolences to this most amazing family, to Skip and Lynn, to Elizabeth and Jeff, to Deborah and John, to grandchildren, Joshua and Emily, Alison and Jason, Danny and Callie, Zack and Karen, Annie and Brian, Sam and Eli and Danielle and Joey. And of course, to the pride, the unbelievable love of her life, Charlie and Winnie, Maggie and Tessa. A special aunt and friend to so many that we can't even name. An incredible, incredible person. So gathered here in this sanctuary, it is truly an honor to offer words of our sacred scripture. We begin with Psalm 121. It is my honor to invite Rabbi Michael Siegel and Pastor Chris Harris to offer these beautiful words.
There is a certain rightness to honoring the memory of Barbara Schrayer on Purim, a joyous day in the Jewish calendar, because it is our duty to celebrate a life well lived. The words of our psalmist, King David. Shir Hamalot, Esainai El Heharim, Me'ayin Yavo Ezri, Ezri Me'im Adonai, Ose Shamayim Va'aretz, Al Yitain Lamot Raglecha, Al Yanum Shomrecha, Hine Lo Yanum Velo Yishan Shomer Yisrael, Adonai Shomrecha, Adonai Tzilcha Al Yad Yeminecha, Yomam Hashemesh Lo Yakeka V'Yareach Balayla, Adonai Yishmarcha Mikol Ra, Yishmor et Nafshecha, Adonai Yishmar Tzedcha Avoecha, Me'ata V'Yad Olam.
Were it not for the love that your family came from, our community would not have received the love that we've received from your family. So I'm glad to be here today to share and show that love back from my community to yours. I will lift mine eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? The source of my help is the Lord, creator of heaven and earth. He will not let you falter. Your guardian does not slumber. Surely the guardian of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. He is at your right hand to protect you. The Lord, your keeper, gives shelter. The sun will not smite you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. The Lord will preserve your soul. He will guard your going and coming from this time forth and forever.
Hallelujah.
No matter what faith tradition we may be from, of the 150 Psalms, Psalm 23 is used by all of us. We offered together the English translation of the 23rd Psalm. Please join with me. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord.
Adonai roi lo echsar bino teshe yarbitzeni al mei menuchot al mei menuchot Nafshi yeshovev, yeshovev, yancheni b'maglei tzedek, yancheni b'maglei tzedek.
Rabbi Joe Black from Denver offers this teaching on the 23rd Psalm. Those who walk through the valley of the shadows wear no shoes. Their feet are cut and torn as they stumble through the darkness. With no time to pack a bag or say goodbye, they begin their journeys unprepared. Some are dressed in finery, jewels glimmering like stars in the dim light. Others are in pajamas, work clothes, prayer shawls, bathing suits, Michigan t-shirts. Some clutch briefcases and papers, blankets, and teddy bears. And everyone wears their grief. And with each cautious, painful step, they move further into the abyss. The chasm narrows. Stretching out their fingers, they trace the grooves carved by previous pilgrims, handholds hewn into the cold canyon walls. Sometimes they march in silence, sometimes singing hauntingly beautiful melodies. Their voices echo to the very vaults of heaven. The river that created this place does not flow from on high. It was formed and filled by the tears of those whose bruised souls traversed the trail. But no one walks this path alone. Stumbling pilgrims are quickly caught and held aloft by those who travel beside them. They're caressed and carried through the brambles and branches that, unexposed and hidden from sight, add to the chaos and confusion of the journey. And in time, for most, a light appears in the distance, piercing through the veil of darkness. Hope long buried rises to the surface like a beacon. And with it, the weary marchers ascend to find a world that's been changed forever by their absence. They return with pale faces and broken hearts. But now, as experienced travelers, they will always have a suitcase packed and ready. It's an honor to invite Rabbi Michael Schwaber from neighboring congregation North Suburban Bethel to offer Psalm 15.
Today is not only a moment of grief for a deep loss, but also an opportunity to celebrate a life well lived. Psalm 15 speaks about a person of integrity who lived their life by their values and on their terms, and Barbara definitely did that. And I'm thrilled and honored that I was able to be a part of just a recent wedding of Annie when she was totally in her element and celebrating life. And maybe it's important to keep those moments in mind today as well. Mizmor LeDavid, Adonai mi yagor bo alech, hamishkon b'har kodshecha, holech tamim u'foel tzedek v'dover emet bilvavo, lo ragal al lishono, lo asal re'ora v'cherpa l'rasal krovo, nivzeh be'nav nimas, v'tirei Adonai yechabed, nishbal ha'ara v'lo yamir, kaspo lo natan b'neshech, v'shochad an akila lakach, osei lo yimot le'olam. A Psalm of David. Do we deserve to enter into God's sanctuary? Can we merit a place in the presence of God? Live with integrity, do what is right, speak the truth, have no slander upon your tongue. Do not mistreat your neighbor, but spurn those who are contemptible. Honor those who revere God. Never retract a promise once made, though it may bring you harm. Lend no money at unfair rates, accept no bribe against the innocent. Make these deeds your own, and you shall stand firm forever. Barbara's memory will always stand firm forever.
In a book called God Whispers, it's written, the true worth of a life is the story that it leaves behind. Tell that story well. Did she teach you about love? Every single day of your life, she did that. Did she personify genius or sensitivity? No question about that. Did her life warn you of the danger of bitterness and anger? She always, always was positive. As I stand and behold the eyes of those who mourn, I realize the only difference between people in this world is not their wealth, their fame, or their success. The only difference is those that had love in their life and those who did not. Barbara Schrayer had love in her life from the day she came into this world until her very final breath. What a gift. A gift that her children gave to her in her own home with amazing caregivers right by her side. Thank you. One of the oldest responsibilities of a rabbi is to be a mouthpiece, to be the maturgaman, to be the translator. Skip, it's my honor to be your translator, to be your mouthpiece. I did it 17 years ago at your dad's funeral, and it's my honor to do it again. You were so sure that you wouldn't be able to get up here, I don't even want to try. And I think you texted and said, I can't even practice it without crying, so it's my honor to be your mouthpiece. I've asked Rabbi Lowenstein to share my thoughts with all of you. Here's the most telling story about me and my mom's relationship. Most people know I was not a star athlete. Nevertheless, I signed up for a tennis tournament at Northmore around age 10 or 11. There were only 2 people in my age group, so I played one match with the other young boy and lost. My mother would tell me how amazing it was that I came in second in the Northmore tournament. That was my mom's secret sauce. She made us feel special and loved and capable of doing anything. What more could a parent do? My sister's nephew and niece will share other ways my mother influenced them, but I wanted to share 3 things: thanks, learnings, blessings. Thanks. Thank you to all the people from near and far who have called, texted, emailed, posted, or found a way to remind us that we have families that act like friends and friends that act like families. Our parents raised us up in an amazing community, and with all of your support, there isn't anything that we can't handle. Thank you to our lovely caregivers who allowed our mom to live independently till the very end with dignity and with strength. She always looked beautiful. Shout outs in particular to Anna and Chen. Thank you to my mom's amazing medical team, Lee Friedman, Britt Hansen, Nancy Nora, and Dr. J, to name just a few. She survived for 9 years with multiple myeloma and kidney disease, and she frankly beat them with all of your help. She absolutely defied the statistics. And I have to thank my sisters. We worked in a beautifully collaborative way to care for my mom as she cared for us. But I have never seen anything like what they did. They literally willed her to survive. I know that she lived at least an extra 2 years because of Liz from DC and Deborah from the city. It was beautiful and inspiring to watch. And I will be forever grateful to my dear sisters. Thank you to Lynn and our kids. You are my rock. And I'm nothing without your constant love and support. Lessons. Family. At the end of the day, that is what is most important. And she made sure that we all knew the importance of a strong and connected family. We were, we are, and we will be a strong family. Friends. My parents were always surrounded by amazing lifelong friends, while she outlived most of them. The ones that are left have been in our lives for over 60 years, and we will continue to have lifelong friends like they did. Jewish community. Our parents were proud Jews and Zionists and advocates for communal responsibility. We have and will continue to be participants and leaders in making sure that our community takes care of all of the global needs of our Jewish community. Caring for friends and family. My mom quietly helped many people that she knew in lots of different ways. And she would tell me, we help so many people we don't know Why wouldn't we help the people that we do know? We will continue to do all that as well. And finally, blessings. My mom got to have an amazing life. As sad as I am that she is gone, I take great comfort that she got to do it all. She had an intimate relationship with all of her grandchildren. She knew almost all of their life partners. She knew the 4 great-grandchildren well, and she knew that there would be 3 more on the way. At least 3 more. She was able to see her 3 children have successful lives, love each other, and continue the work that she and my dad started, and I know that gave her great comfort. She knew the end was near, and she was able to count her blessings and say goodbye to her friends and family and leave us on her own terms. I don't think many people get that privilege. So as sad as I am to say goodbye, I can also say, Mom, you got it all. And for that, I am so grateful. Love you forever. Skip. Skip, those words are beautiful. And I know that as your maturgamon, as your translator, those were your words, and we all heard them through you. Thank you. It's my honor to invite Elizabeth and Deborah to come forward.
I'm the older one, so I go first. So I do a good deal of public speaking, and no matter how large or how prominent of speech I was giving, my mother's first question was always the same: what did you wear? I used to laugh and wonder why she didn't ask me what I said or something about the audience. But over time, I grew to love that question and our chitter-chat about it that followed. My mother was beautiful, inside and out, and she loved to find the exact right outfit, and even to her very last days, dressed with style and, yes, makeup, even to meet the hospice team. And she even named her very favorite signature vest, George. And I realized over time that I learned something about that question, that speaking and being present wasn't a spectator sport, that she understood the power of look and feel and touch and smell, and that it was a whole experience. Now, don't get me wrong, growing up, I dreaded that look. The one where no words passed, but I knew that that thought bubble was, are you really gonna wear that? But I watched her, and I learned that magical touch of hers, of how she made people welcomed and loved, and literally just at that hello, that she loved finding beauty and joy in life. After my dad died, my mom reinvented herself, and she went from Mrs. Robert Schrayer to finding her own unique voice of Barbara Schrayer. She transformed herself, especially as the beloved matriarch of our family, and made everything and everyone feel special and loved. On the family chat, lovingly named Grandma's Giggles, Grandma Barbara reigned supreme. With their signature white spiky hair bitmoji, she would find the exact right post to make each person feel on the top of the world on their birthday or their special celebration. And watching her with our grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, was one of my greatest joys, and she was absolutely over the moon that our news of expecting 3 more later this year. Being on the ride with the greatest siblings in the world meant the world to her and to me. No one could make my mom's beautiful blue eyes lighten up more than my brother Skip. The prince, who filled her days with stories and laughter, even though she would yell at him unsuccessfully to stop eating so many cookies. And no human being in the world devoted themselves to her more than my loving sister Deborah, who, Skip said it too, who literally willed my mom not just to live, but to live with joy and happiness and dignity. And Deborah, you got it so darn right. When she was diagnosed with cancer, I pulled aside her oncologist, and I said, I live out of town, and I want to know how much I should be coming back and forth. And she said to me, she's going to live probably another 6 months. And that was 9 years ago. I remember seeing Dr. Hansen just a few years ago, and I said, oh, the miracle doctor. And she said, oh, no, she's the miracle patient. She used those 9 years to her fullest, and especially to love and engage with her friends and her family. And I knew it because she let Charlie and Winnie eat pasta with red sauce on her white chairs. She loved to talk politics with me and talk about the latest scandals, and she so many times would call me and said, they got him. And I would say, Mom, are you watching Rachel Maddow again? As her health declined, I would travel back and forth more and more each weekends, and we would just sit on the weekends, and I'd hold her hands, and we would watch way too many Hallmark movies, and now I am totally hooked on them. And even as her health declined, she was as sharp as a tack. Not too long ago, it was probably a couple months ago, in the middle of night, she called me, and she woke me up, and she said she had something so important to tell me. She said she wasn't going to make it through the night. And I started bawling. And she said she had something so important to say, so I held her hands, and I was ready for her to tell me and tell me her love for me. And she says, Elizabeth, I'm pretty sure I have a credit at Anaz and Hefferman, and make sure you and Deborah keep them. It was like classic Barbara Schrayer. So we have to now get the credits. This past Sunday night was the last real meaningful conversation I had with Mom. And I was leaving to catch a flight. I came back literally the next day. But she took my hand, my face in her hands, and she was a little slurry in her words. You guys were with me. And she said, Skip said, Mom, Liz is going to save the world. And I said, not very well. And she said, go get him. And that was her, in her final hours, like cheering me on and cheering us all on as she did. And the last thing I would say is this. I have lived out of the city for more than 40 years. And whenever I meet people and they ask me, where am I from? I still say, I'm originally from Chicago. And I think, why do I say that? And I know I say it because of Mom, because she is and was my North Star. And when I look up in the sky, Mom, I know you're there. I know you're always my North Star, who has guided all of us, her friends, her family, how to live with beauty, with joy, with laughter, with love, and always with family and friends. And for that, we are all so very, very blessed. And I love you and always will.
Okay, can you believe I have to follow the two of them? So how do I put into a few words what my amazing mom meant to me? She was my every morning call and my end-of-the-day text to tell her that I got home. We ended every conversation with "I love you." She was the one who cared about my life from the smallest of details, like what I was serving for Shabbat dinner, to life decisions regarding career or board commitments. She listened and she gave honest and thoughtful advice, and I always used her wisdom as my North Star. She was fiercely protective, and if someone was mean to me in 5th grade, she still remembered and she never forgave them. And that went for her grandchildren too. Jeff Bernstein, she's got her eye on you. I hope he's not here. I don't even know. Okay. She was proud of me and Liz and Skip and all of the grandchildren. She and our dad gave us the gift of confidence and made each of us believe we were able to do anything we wanted without us feeling entitled or having ego. Just enough support and love to know that we were strong and resilient and we should try things. She really believed I was going to be a pom-pom star, Liz would be a drummer, and Skip a tennis player. Thankfully, we all found other paths. She knew certain things to be true. Mentholatum cures all. Diet Coke with a straw is a staple. Swedish fish is a food group. Update your lion pin every year because you should be proud of your commitment, and bling is good. Always take care of others. Always wear lipstick. Write thank you notes. She did not believe in guilt. Somehow, she's the only Jewish mother around. She did not use guilt. And vote. Stand up for what you care about. So being the youngest had some perks. For one, I was her favorite. We were all her favorites, to be honest. There's a Schrayer story that there were many days when I'd wake up in the morning, my mom would say, "How do you feel? Are you sick?" And I'd say, I don't think so. She goes, "Well, you don't look great. I'm going to call you out of school." And then we would hang, and we'd always end up having the most special day, and it always ended up at Style Shop with a new outfit. And I'm still not sure why she allowed this, but it's one of my favorite memories, and we spent the rest of our years having special adventures and time together until the very end. I watched my mom engage in wonderful friendships, new and old. She loved everyone, and everyone loved her back. She was deep, but not complicated, and she didn't get caught up in small stuff. She cared about people, their lives, their families, the world. She had zero FOMO, something she didn't pass on to me, unfortunately. She was so loved, and she loved so hard back. She loved, watching her love Jon and my kids was so beautiful. And now as a grandma myself, I understand that deep love. I can only hope that Tessa and the others that follow will love me the way my kids loved their Grandma B. She certainly showed me the way. What a legacy, what an amazing human being I was blessed to call my mom. Mom, rest in peace. Skip and Liz and I, along with our amazing spouses, Lynn and Jeff and John, we got this. We love each other, we will take care of each other, and we will focus on making the world better. You taught us well, you and Dad were excellent role models, and now we will live your legacy and make you proud. No more doctors, no more poking, no more cute firemen taking you to the ER. You did this your way, and we're so proud of you, and we will love you forever.
Jeff, I invite you to come forward.
I loved making Barbara laugh. When she'd call, she'd say, "It's your favorite mother-in-law." And I'd always say, "Wait, which one?" And she'd laugh every time. I keep a Barbara list on my phone. It's called Barbara. It's a bunch of ridiculously funny things she said that I know I can laugh with the family about or tease her about. That list will have a lot of use. I'm sure a lot of us have a list, but not for today. As I began my relationship with Barbara many years ago, I was intimidated by her. She was like this, she had this aura and this class, and I was intimidated and even maybe a bit rebellious or even resentful. I would go to dinner with the Schrayers, and I was expected to dress up. And I just wanted to wear my jeans and my t-shirt. And I didn't like that. And I thought, oh, she elevates style over substance. And I wanted to push back and wear my t-shirt. And then over time, I started to figure something out. Barbara knew exactly who she was. And her elegance was not just external, by no means. I was still figuring it all out, and it took me some time to figure out Barbara. The rabbi, Steve, asked us last night, or 2 nights ago, to each come up with a word to describe Barbara. Much to my family's dismay and my children's dismay, I said multifaceted. Deborah, you were right. She wasn't complicated, but she was multifaceted. She was simple but complex. She was intensely loyal to her family and to her friends, but she was open to everyone. She loved her country club status, yet she was completely generous, completely unsnobby, tough as nails, deep, thoughtful, demanding, playful, witty, fun. I had a dog, Mo. She hated Mo. Mo wasn't one of those Schrayer dogs, like the little fluffy, like a person with fur. That wasn't Mo. Mo was a mess, muddy, drooly, loved to chase balls, and loved to swim in our swimming pool, chase the balls into the pool and come out. Barbara hated Mo. And Barbara was watching our house once when we were both at work, and she was alone with Mo, and Mo jumped in the pool. Barbara, not knowing about Mo's ability to swim, apparently, jumped in the pool, fully clothed. And Mo swam out. Barbara figured out that Mo didn't need any rescuing. She was pissed at me. She never let me live that down. But I knew then what I had come to figure out, she would do anything for me. Even if it meant ruining an outfit, jumping in the cold water for my stupid dog. And I knew how amazing she was. Last night, Danny was showing me a photo in her den of the whole family, and he said, "Dad, it's kind of ironic, you're the only one wearing a tie." And I was trying to figure that out, and I couldn't sleep trying to figure that out. I realized I didn't wear a tie because Barbara made me wear a tie. I wore a tie because I wanted to show her my A game, always. I wanted to be worthy of her. She didn't just make me dress better, she made me better. I wanted to make her laugh. I wanted to be the one to help her to her seat, to protect her. I loved spending time with her always. She became a mother to me. I loved her deeply. I will cherish every memory, every story on my Barbara list. I will honor her memory by dressing better, by being better, always, for you, sweet Barbara, my favorite mother-in-law.
For 9 years, we've been saying the Mishaberach prayer, a prayer for healing. We brought her a Mishaberach bear that she kept in the hospital when she was first admitted. And we've been praying that prayer in this congregation and in Washington and in the city for Barbara for a long time. And so it seems only appropriate that we offer a Mishaberach now. The words are in your service supplement. We've been praying for her body, now we pray for her spirit. Amen. Danielle and Sam, I invite the three of you representing all of the grandchildren to come forward.
Hi, I'm Danny, Grandma Barbara's third grandchild. I think if you asked any kid to describe what they wanted in a grandparent, their description would sound suspiciously like Grandma Barbara. I've been thinking a lot about how to capture why this was, why Grandma Barbara just perfectly fit the bill, why she just was the perfect, impeccable grandma. As I've tried to boil it down, I think what I realized is up until the very end, what Grandma embodied was that the most important thing in family and the most important thing for her as a grandma was being present. Not just in the physical sense, although with her, she was present all the time. And when she was in a room, her presence was known. You know, even though we grew up many states away, I think Grandma Barbara was the most loyal audience member of the Charles E. Smith Jewish Day School middle school musicals, no matter when it was. And afterwards, she'd be telling everyone how fabulous I was. I knew I had my cheering section. And in hearing her talk about it, you'd have never known that the whole show was in Hebrew and she probably didn't understand a single word. And you also wouldn't know that I had 0 lines of my own. Because that didn't matter to her. She was there. But it wasn't just about being there in person. She also taught the value of being present emotionally, being truly invested in the relationships you have and in connecting with everyone. As I discussed the other night with some of the family, I think my story that most embodies this spirit is the first time she ever spoke to my now wife, Callie. For those who don't know, Callie and Grandma come from slightly different cultural backgrounds, with Callie growing up in the mountains of rural North Carolina. So, when I had been dating Callie for just a few months, I was at Grandma's for Thanksgiving while Callie was with hers in West Virginia. As we FaceTimed to make the introduction, Callie informed Grandma that her cousins were very excited because they just got back from a successful deer hunt. I didn't even have a chance to be worried how that would go over before Grandma, in a way only she could, found her opening to be present and build a connection without missing a beat. She said, "Oh, wonderful, I've got such a deer problem here, I could really use their help." And that was Grandma. No matter how foreign something may seem, she always knew how to find a way to make you feel seen, loved, and understood. And finally, there was her presence of being authentically her own style and having pride in her presence. As everyone knows, Grandma B embodied a style, and I may never be able to match her style or her aura, but what I've learned from her is how to take pride in how you want to present yourself to the world, in whatever way that means. So when I watch my little girl Maggie boogieing to music in her frilly pink dress while diligently working with her tools on her toy cars, I know that's Grandma's spirit coming out. Maggie is learning to be proud of her style and how she presents herself to the world, as authentically as Grandma. I hope I can foster that same sense of purpose and pride in her every day. So Grandma, thanks to you, I will spend every day trying to be present for my family, in every sense of the word. I love you.
Grandma Barbara was a dynamic, feisty, generous, interested, classy, inspirational, and beautiful woman at her core, and I'm the luckiest to hold the title of Barbara Schrayer's granddaughter. Everyone who knew her loved her, and let's be honest, everyone knew Barbara Schrayer. From her iconic white spiky hair to her staple Diet Coke with a straw in a can and a side of Swedish fish, Grandma was a force to be reckoned with. Her heart had the capacity to love in the most extraordinary way, one that made every person she met feel touched by her warmth and wit. While there was a running joke in our Grandma's Giggles group text about how close the two of us were and that I was her favorite, at the root of the humor lied a beautiful truth. The bond we shared was unbreakable. From seeing her in the audience at every dance recital to her impromptu sunset deliveries after a stressful day in PA school, to being one of the first people to hold Tessa in the hospital, and most recently to becoming Highland Park neighbors and sharing laughs over Di Pescara or Michael's dinner. With each chapter of life brought a new depth to our relationship, one that filled my cup to the brim. One of my favorite memories with Grandma Barbara and Grandpa Bob was upon turning 11, before my bat mitzvah, they took me to New York for a celebratory weekend away. From sightseeing, attending Broadway shows, shopping in Manhattan, and visiting Times Square, every detail of our 72 hours away was accounted for. When a storm swept through the East Coast, forcing us to rearrange our plans, my grandparents didn't exhibit an ounce of disappointment. Our night's plan quickly audibled to ordering room service, watching movies, and cuddling in bed between my two favorite people. Grandpa Bob and Grandma Barbara were a team like no other, an eternal bond that I felt lucky to have a glimpse of. As I mentioned, Grandma Barbara was dynamic, an avid reader, expert bridge player, beautiful hostess. However, of all the titles she held over the course of her 91 years, her proudest was being a grandma and a great-grandma. Watching her love each of her 4 great-granddaughters so deeply, and seeing the pure joy she exuded watching her love each of her 4 great-granddaughters so deeply, and seeing the pure joy she exuded when they visited her, were the most magnificent memories that will last a lifetime and beyond. The last 12 months of watching Tessa's face light up when she saw Grandma Barbara was the greatest gift that I'll cherish forever. Grandma, thank you for being my role model of resilience, generosity, authenticity, kindness, and so much more. You are the epitome of strength and grace, and I am the luckiest to follow in your footsteps. While we say goodbye today, your incredible legacy lives on through the beautiful life you created. Now go grab your seat, as you always said, hand in hand with Grandpa Bob, and cheer for your Michigan Wolverines. I love you.
True to form.
That was my only chance to go off script. But I was told I only had a couple minutes, so these few words, whatever they are, I'm going to do my best. Grandma, everybody looks wonderful. Everyone is dressed appropriately. There are many handsome dogs here. Okay. Grandma. Graham, Grammy, Babs. Babs a lot. Babalicious. I'm overflowing with pride. You were so loved, and you loved so compassionately. You loved deeply, and you loved generously. You saw everyone at their best. Grandma loved Michigan football. Every Saturday, I would get a text saying, "I've got my seat." I would FaceTime her, and sure enough, she'd be dressed in her maize and blue, sitting on the couch, ready to watch. She was in her seat. It was tradition that she and Grandpa Bob used to take Zack and me to Ann Arbor for tailgates at the parking lot and Michigan games in the big house. We sat at the same seat we sit in today. This began my love for the Wolverines, something me and my grandma shared until the end. My grandpa Bob died 17 years ago. We were all devastated and at times lost. But Grandma, you stepped up, you took on Grandpa's roles, you made us all feel loved and supported, and never skipping a beat. You showed up every day for each of us in a big way, enough for both of you. All 8 grandchildren and now 4 great-grandchildren feel your unique love. Grandma wanted to be known. I recently completed my first semester of law school, and Grandma was a big part of my journey. She would FaceTime daily, or I should say, I would FaceTime with her ceiling and a few strands of her spiky hair. She asked about my classes, but quickly transitioned to the important stuff. Had I made friends? Was I eating enough? A common theme in our family. And had I met anyone special? She would always end our call with, "I love you, I couldn't be prouder, now hurry and come home." Grandma knew my entire finals and interview schedule. She loved being in the know, sometimes too much so. At times, I wished I hadn't filled her in on every little detail. An hour after an exam, or an hour, minutes even, after an interview, I would receive a text, "Did you get your grades back? Did you get that job?" Never a law student's favorite questions, but she simply couldn't help herself. She was involved in all of our lives. When Grandma loved you, you were loved fully. Grandma, your compassion, your love, your emphasis on family, your exuding pride will be what we remember, what we carry with us, what we will pass on to our children. Oh, this part's gonna stink. You are now back with your favorite person, Grandpa Bob. This is Basharat. You are at peace. You are comfortable. You are with your favorite person. and your favorite person is with theirs. You are finally in your forever seat, and your memory will forever be a blessing. I love you, Grandma.
It's one of my favorite stories. I had met Bob and Barbara along the way as a young rabbi at Temple Sholom through his sisters, Gina and Helene, and through some Michigan friends like Irv Sten. But we really connected when he wrote me a letter on March 7th, 2001. A couple years later, I moved up to Glencoe, and Bob and I started to meet regularly for breakfast. The Schrayers invited Julie and myself for dinner on a Tuesday night, and Northmore was closed. So we went to their beautiful home on Spruce. Julie couldn't get over the fact, as they gave us the tour of the house, that her friend Lynn Saxey from Huntington Woods was on their wall. Why was Lynn Saxey on your wall? Because we hadn't met Skip. We didn't know the connection. We had a good laugh, a great dinner, and the next day I stopped at a new florist that had just opened up in Glencoe, and I asked to have a small vase of flowers sent to the Schrayers' home with a note that said, "Thanks for last night." And as I walked out, I saw a huge Thanksgiving bouquet, and I asked that those flowers be sent to my wife for Thanksgiving with the note, "I love you forever." 2 hours later, Barbara Schrayer called me. She got the biggest bouquet of flowers she's ever gotten, and that I loved her forever. Julie got a small bouquet and said, "Thanks for last night." That florist didn't last long in Glencoe, by the way. But from that moment on, I loved Barbara Schrayer forever. She was unique and well-read. She was well-educated. She was fun. She was beautiful. She was generous. She was welcoming. She was stylish. She was elegant. She was caring. She was honest. She was straightforward. She was always cold. She was somewhat judgmental. She was always loving. She had become the true matriarch of an amazing family, a role that she relished. There are, Jeff, many facets to her life. Coming into this world in Detroit to William and Isabel Mazer, along with Bill Jr. and Didge, in a very traditional Midwest home, she was a socialite in high school, of all places, at Highland Park High School in Detroit. She lettered in swimming, and then I heard she never jumped into the water until she went after your dog. She was a part of a long list of strong women, the Lurie girls. Her mom and sisters, who were all short and funny. They all had white hair. And Skip said that they were even written up in a Harvard study. Graduating from high school mid-year, she went straight to Ann Arbor. And it was at a ZBT dance that Bob attended with a date and Barbara attended with a date that those two met. Bob asked Barbara to dance. They jitterbugged in front of everyone. A circle formed around them, and everyone watched, even their respective dates. Bob said, "We should go out." And so began a most amazing journey. Barbara always loved dancing with Bob, and they danced till the very end. And it was at Michigan that the Schrayers made lifelong friends, the Harrises and the Smerlings, the Kaplans, and so many others, like the Freemans and the Kahns and the Lewises and the Rivkins, so many to name. They became the Michigan Mafia, and everyone remained connected. Friends became family, families became friends. When their parents met in Ann Arbor, after they were engaged, Bob and Barbara were both under the age of 21. The parents met at a bar. They couldn't go into the bar where their parents were meeting. But both parents agreed that they should wait until after graduation before getting married. And so they did. Finally being married by Rabbi Friedland in the Mazer's backyard in Detroit on August 8th, 1954, with a honeymoon in Bermuda at the Pink Beach Hotel. Barbara and Bob were true partners and true friends. He always said that she was his biggest supporter. Bob joined the service and Barbara lived with the Schrayers on the south side. The rationale, I looked it up on my notes from when, after Bob died, she told me that since he could only call home once a week, they thought that it would be better if they lived together so that both the Schrayers and Barbara could talk to Bob while he was in the service. And so she lived with the Schrayers. Bob worked hard and he took on big, huge leadership roles in our community. And Barbara let Bob do all the big stuff. But Barbara was mom extraordinaire. As you heard from Skip and Elizabeth and Deborah, she truly listened to every day what you did, and she cared about what you were doing. Your kitchen table became ground zero, and it was so special. When you came home, the kitchen table was a picnic table, and you sat there and you talked, and she listened. She was incredibly proud to be Mrs. Robert Schrayer, but she did her own thing. JCB fashion shows and CJE in the board of the JCC and, of course, women's division. But it was after Bob died that Barbara truly reinvented herself, Barbara 2.0. She learned technology to be able to text with the kids and grandkids. She learned how to put gas in the car and withdraw money from the machine, things that she never knew how to do before. She traveled, she moved, she became independent. She made everyone around her feel special. She became feisty. She kept everyone on their toes. She developed individual relationships with each grandchild. She gained unbelievable perspective. She immediately found ways to connect. She led by example. She became fearless. And she truly became the unquestioned matriarch, the honored matriarch of this incredible family. Unlike Bob, who was diagnosed with liver cancer and died just 4 weeks later, Barbara was told she was sick and she might only have 6 months 9 years ago. And in these last 9 years, she fought, she struggled, she squeezed as much out of life as possible. She wasn't going to fade away, she was going to do it her way. She continued to date Cal. She traveled to California, she started dialysis, and then she graduated from dialysis. No one I know graduates from dialysis. She went out for dinner, she held court at Northmore. She watched so many Michigan games, including the Natty Championship, from her seat in Highland Park. She watched her grandchildren, 4 of them, get married. She saw her great-grandchildren come into this world and participated in several of their namings. I think it's so unbelievably cosmic that Bob died after 4 grandchildren became B'nai Mitzvah with 4 still to go. Barbara died after 4 grandchildren got married with 4 still to go. And Annie, it was right before your bat mitzvah that Bob died, and it's right after your wedding that Barbara died. By the way she lived, by the way she loved, by the way she died, Barbara Mazer Schrayer taught so many lessons, and you heard them all. So hold on to them. Carry them with you. Make your home the place to be. Make your home inviting and warm and be surrounded by beautiful things. Make sure your children believe that they can do anything. Have 100% confidence in your kids so that they have 100% confidence in themselves. Remember that nothing is impossible. Love everybody. Don't get caught up in the small stuff. Focus on the good stuff. Always be real. Have a fierce family first mantra. Listen. Leave a legacy. Keep the JUF Book of Life nearby, and if you need a magnifying glass, keep that magnifying glass on top of it. Be invested at every stage of life with the people you love. build special relationships with the people that matter most, be able to play bridge up until a week before you die. And I think one of the last texts I had, I wasn't sure if I was going to stop over or not, and I said, I wasn't sure, and she said, stop by. I put on lipstick. Open your house, open your heart, open your refrigerator, open your pool, let everybody in. Don't forget to fight for what you really believe in. There are so many opportunities to give up, but don't. And when it's your time, be as graceful in your death, be as elegant in your death as you were in life. I love that Barbara and Bob share a Yortzeit week, because today, unbelievably, is Bob's Yortzeit, the 15th of the Hebrew month of Adar. Centered around the holiday of Purim, a time of light and joy. I have to tell you, it wasn't lost on me that I've always looked above the couch in the living room in Barbara's house, and it was on Spruce as well. I'm sure it was at the Risky Business house too. Above the couch for more than 30 years is an unrolled Megillah scroll. And every single day, they looked at that. And it's unrolled to the most beautiful column of the Megillah. And that Bob, his Yortzeit is on the 15th of Adar. And that her funeral is on the 15th of Adar. It's not lost on me that the Purim story is the perfect metaphor. Bob, in many ways, was Mordecai, who worked hard to save the Jews in any way that he could, to be the mouthpiece for advocacy and change. And Barbara truly was the queen, absolutely beautiful. She would win any beauty contest. But she was put on this earth for a mission, and she knew that mission. She told me that mission. She said, my mission was to raise 3 amazing children who each in their own ways are saving the Jewish people. La Yehudim haita ora v'simcha. To the Jews there was light and joy. And so as we rise together, we begin just to remember them and to honor them just with a very short part of these words from the Megillah. To the Jews there was light and joy. The mourner's Kaddish on the back of the service supplement. In her honor and in her memory, we say together, Yit Gadal v'Yit Gadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divrach Hirutei v'Amlich Malchutei, B'chai Echon v'Yomei Echon v'Chayei Kol Beit Yisrael, B'Gala Bizman Kariv v'Imru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mavarach Le'olam Omei Omaya. Yit barach v'yishtabach v'yit pa'ar v'yit roman v'yit naseh v'yit hadar v'yit taleh v'yit talal shmei dekudsha brichu la'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tush b'chata v'nechamata damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yahei shlama rabba min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'romav Hu Yaseh Shalom, Aleinu ve'al Kol Yisrael, v'imru Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort all who are bereaved. El Malei Rachamim, God full of compassion, dwelling in the heights and the depths, grant perfect rest under the wings of God's presence to Barbara Mazer Schrayer who has entered eternity. May she truly rest in peace. Friends, immediately after the closing song, the family's gonna make their way to the Zack's family social hall. And we have the balance of the day till Shabbat to visit with the family, to eat, to honor her life exactly as she would want. And there's Diet Coke and Swedish fish for everyone. But please let the family make their way directly to the social hall, and then we can follow in just a few moments. Donations in Barbara's memory can be made to the Barbara Schrayer Memorial Fund at JUF, a great way to honor her memory. And we will continue to honor her memory in places like Anshe Emed and Bethel and right here at Am Shalom. Take a good long look at that beautiful mosaic in the back wall of the Malkin lobby to know that Lador Vador, from generation to generation, life continues on. And as we sang at Bob's funeral, their favorite song, may there be an abundance of peace for our entire world. And let us all say, Amen.